Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Cyber Foundation Fridays. This is one of the special ones for during the month of October, being Cyber Awareness Month. We have these special events every Friday, and we're tying this into the Captain Hyperscaler Cyber Back to School event that we're also doing as part of Cyber Awareness Month in October. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to this session this week. You can go actually to Captain Hyperscaler on LinkedIn to events and see the past events. You can also go to Cyber Back to School to see all the events for Cyber Back to School. You can also go to the Captain Hyperscaler. Hold on, the Captain Hyperscaler YouTube channel to see any of the past events also. So for the oops, somehow I got Cyber Back to School back in here. Hold on. There's the YouTube channel for Captain Hyperscaler, but we have a Cyber Back to School channel. The Cyber Back to School website will give you all the sessions for Cyber Back to School. If you're not familiar with Cyber Back to School, it is an event that is the inaugural event by Captain Hyperscaler and myself this year for October Cyber Awareness Month. Those of you that know me and Derek for the Azure Back to School event, it's very similar. It's for the community, by the community, sessions provided by others within the community, as well as myself this month. Being the inaugural event, it's not as deep and wide as the Azure Back to School has been, being that that's been running for 5 years. But it's very similar to what happened and how things went the first year, with like one, maybe two events, 2 sessions a day, with some of those being my own sessions, because we're just building up awareness to Cyber Back to School and hopefully continue that on year over year like Azure Back to School has been. So again, keep up with Cyber Back to School over the course of this month, and you'll learn a lot more about cybersecurity awareness, risk awareness, and AI security as well, which gets us to today's topic. There we go. Let me move my presentation over. So as part of Cyber Foundation Fridays, we have our AI security concepts today. And we'll kind of go through how, if this is the first one that you're joining, how we are going through things here with the Cyber Fridays. But what we're doing as part of these is we are covering cyber resilience, we're covering risk management, we're covering AI security in a 3-week cycle, essentially. And this is the 3rd week of Cyber Foundation Fridays, and today we are talking about AI security concepts. So if you aren't familiar with me, I am Dwayne Natwick. I am the CEO, owner, and lead trainer for Captain Hyperscaler. I teach various cybersecurity courses. I am APMG third-party accredited trainer for Asaka. I also teach ISC2 courses, Accolade courses, AI certs, Microsoft, CompTIA. So I am certified and authorized to train in various different areas of cybersecurity, AI, and cloud. So, as I stated, this is part of the Cyber Foundation Fridays, as well as, like I said, tying it to Cyber Back to School and Cyber Awareness Month. We have done, this is the 3rd session with the cyber resilience we had a couple of weeks ago when we launched this initiative. Risk management I did last week, and today we're doing AI security concepts. Next week we'll be back into cyber resilience as the topic with cybersecurity framework implementation tiers. Then we'll do risk analysis and treatment, and then we'll come back and talk about threat detection and ops with AI, and so on and so forth as we go through September, October, and into November with Cyber Foundation Fridays. So Uh, as part of this, we're also promoting here at Captain Hyperscaler some training through Accolade. Accolade, one of our certification partners that we are a training partner for, and we're offering some special training over October and November. You can see here in this that we're offering the foundation courses at 250, the practitioner courses at 300. We're actually giving for October and cybersecurity awareness month a $50 discount on those courses as well. So if you're interested in the risk management course next week or the AI security foundation course in 2 weeks, please reach out to me. You can DM direct message me on LinkedIn. Or the Captain Hyperscaler page, or if you send an email to sales@captainhyperscaler.com, and we can get you set up. I'll also provide a QR code here at the end of this session for that you can use also to get to those events and get that information off the Captain Hyperscaler webpage. We have some practitioner events coming November. Actually, we added also the AI security practitioner for December, because that is coming out for its beta exam here shortly as well. But these will prepare you for all these the beta exams for risk management and AI security that are out right now. And with the AI security being Foundations beta exam being launched on was launched on October 1st and is available now. We'll provide a voucher for those exams for those beta exams as part of this part of these Accolade trainings, as well as if you want to review the training, it will be recorded. So if you're paid attendee, you'll get 12 month access to the recordings. We're doing these in essentially a one day's worth of training in 3-hour sessions. So we're going to do we'll do those Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern time, which I believe is 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. UTC. So if you're in Europe and anywhere beyond, we're should be early enough in the day in U.S. to accommodate people not going too late into their evenings or nights in certain time zones. So, like I said, feel free to reach out. I'd love to have you in these classes. But let's get to today's agenda, and you'll learn some of this as part of the foundations course as well as the practitioner course. But we're gonna but not as specific. We're going to get a little bit more specific in these trainings when you take the full course, because we're just giving you an hour and a half worth of content here. So let's talk about some introduction to artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, just to kind of set the stage. So what is the cybersecurity artificial intelligence, or a new acronym for everybody of CSAI. This is and really what we're going to talk about today. And if you attend the AI security course, we're going to talk more about risk management. We'll talk about a little bit of risk management today, but we're really talking more today about operations and how we can use AI to improve cybersecurity in various ways. So, one of the real ways that we can use AI, and the main goal in AI and cybersecurity, is really mitigating cyber threats. And so what AI is going to give you is, it gives you a tool. And if anybody has done anything around anomaly detection or anything like that within various cloud platforms, they're using machine learning and AI to protect our networks, protect our devices, and really use it as a powerful tool. And that's really kind of, we're going to kind of build the foundation on here today. And so what is AI? AI is a very broad term. Artificial intelligence is not a one-off term. It's very broad. It is how how we can use these technologies to learn from data, to make various decisions and make decisions quicker than we can from a human aspect. And it's a broad range in cybersecurity. We have and is a foundational aspect in a lot of ways to a lot of technologies out there. When we look at Google Mandiant, or we look at Microsoft Sentinel, or we look at some of the capabilities within identity and access security. It's using and it's looking for and learning from the behaviors that you're interacting with your device and interacting with the network and interacting on applications on a constant basis. And that's how AI technologies help to improve, certain cybersecurity tasks within our operations. And no different than really the goal of artificial intelligence at a broad level. It is to, the goal around artificial intelligence is to decrease the burden of repetitive tasks on humans. I mean, that's really ultimately what we're trying to accomplish. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do in terms of security is using this technology, and hopefully using it for good, to automate tasks, automate things that might require human intelligence on a manual aspect of things. But if we are using it properly, we are not those repetitive tasks, and what we can do with machine learning algorithms are going to help us with very large data sets that would take us hours, days, months, weeks, years to do manually from a human perspective. And that's really where large language models and all of that come in. And so that gives us a lot to work on from a cybersecurity approach. And so the detection and response, and we'll talk more about AI detection and response. We'll hit it quickly here today, but that's one of our topics later on. So we'll go through that section a little bit quicker. That's when we get to it, just to save some things for in the next few weeks, because that's our next topic. But it is very helpful. So we talk a lot about the cybersecurity threats and the threats that we have. And in a lot of ways, our threats that we're finding, in terms of brute force attacks, on path attacks, which is newer, more inclusive naming of man in the middle attacks, are generally initiated by bots. When somebody's trying to break encryption, they're doing it using machine learning techniques. So why, and what we want to do is turn that around and use that AI and use those technologies to improve our practices, improve our ability to detect and respond to the threats quickly, and automate those routine tasks, as I've stated already before. And it's not, AI isn't the be all end all, of what we have, what we're challenged in cybersecurity. It's, but, and again, I say this anytime I do any kind of fundamentals course, especially one around AI. AI is only as good as the people that develop the applications and the data that's being used to train it. So it must, it must be used. There's got to be a checks and balances in place. So we can't fully ultimately trust a threat detected by AI at its core initially. We need to test it. We need to train it. We need to understand its accuracy. We need to understand that there might be false positives, where there might be false negatives, and everybody sees those anyway in a lot of cases as well. So, but obviously the future is now, because we, as I stated before, we have attackers, we have attacks that take place that are using AI technology, uh, that are continuously evolving and becoming more sophisticated, more complex from an attacker perspective. So why why would we not leverage that similar and and AI technologies in our way to use it for good and integrate it into our cybersecurity tools and systems? And that's really what it comes down to. So um, let's kind of take a step back, and we talked about um, a couple weeks ago around cybersecurity and cyber resilience and building cybersecurity frameworks. Last week we talked about risk management. Um, what one of the things that we didn't really kind of get into was really kind of the definition of cybersecurity and what that is. We get into that a little bit if you take the cyber resilience fundamentals course. We get into some of those definitions, but it's kind of assumed, that you understand, what cybersecurity is. What are we doing in terms of cybersecurity? We're protecting we're protecting computers, we're protecting networks, and we're making sure that people aren't accessing them, that aren't authorized to access them. And that's really what it comes down to. And the threats are those that are trying to access those unauthorized uh, accesses, access requests to those systems, those devices, those networks, those identities. And those come in various aspects. They come in through our email, through malware, through phishing attacks or social engineering attacks, through emails, through phone calls. We get malware through compromised applications. you know so we've got to have a practice, we've got to have a framework, going back to things we talked about a couple weeks ago in these sessions. If we don't have a framework in place and a risk aware organization, going back to what we talked about um, last week, we don't have the alignment of our technical and non-technical people within our organization. As I've stated in many other talks before, and I'm sure I stated last week, it's hard to remember a week ago as I get older, but and do other trainings and other talks as well. They kind of overlap on each other sometimes. But the key aspect of it all is that cybersecurity and risk awareness is a organizational culture more so than a technical responsibility. That's really what you need to think about. And I use this statement all the time. And like I said, I probably used it. I probably will use this statement in every one of these talks. Is that we have to have the business advocate for cybersecurity and risk awareness, and that advocacy then needs to turn into an execution across the entire organization. So it's key from us that are the technical people, and in that aspect of building cybersecurity frameworks within our organization, that we are aligning that to business strategies and business goals as well. So we want to make sure that we're not keeping and being seen as a deterrent to what the business need is and what the business is looking to accomplish. And that's really a key role and key goal that we want to make sure that we're touching on appropriately. And that's so those are things that we want to make sure that we're adjusting to, and we're thinking about as the cybersecurity professionals within our organization. Is how does where we want to be and where we want to go in our organization align to the business strategies. And one of the things around that and around AI is, how do we enable AI within our organization and make sure that we are aligning it to what the organization wants. And because there's an ever evolving appetite for utilizing things like generative AI, using ChatGPT and Genesis and Meta AI and Apple Intelligence and all of those things within our organization. So how is that evolving and increasing our attack surface and broadening our threat landscape and what we need to do and what we need to put in place in terms of threat strategies. There's also legal and regulatory needs and updates that are affecting the cybersecurity around the world. We have a lot of AI based frameworks and even regulatory requirements that are coming up. You've got GDPR and things of that nature that you need to understand and need to think about. You have the continued role of how global threat intelligence has to shape our security strategies and how we deal with the goals of the organization and the technological needs that we have to address those threats. And so we need to make sure that we are utilizing that and those goals and those needs across our organization. And again, lots of we have obviously a lot of capabilities traditionally in terms of protecting our network perimeter and things like that. But as we use more cloud technologies, these become a blocker and a deterrent to expanding beyond what we have traditionally done. Obviously, these open AI, Genesis, all these different co-pilots that Microsoft has, Genesis, all of those capabilities that Google, AWS, Bedrock, Azure and Microsoft have for cloud technologies. Salesforce with their AI capabilities that Matthew McConaughey talks about, and in their commercials, and all everything's being talked about. AI is talked about constantly. From how it's used to enhance our presentation of data. We can use that from a cybersecurity perspective as well, but it causes more challenges and more problems as well. So we need to use more modern techniques to understand and be proactive to the ever evolving threats. And that's really where AI is going to help us out, and provide, real time threat detection, advanced recognition of particular patterns and anomalies within our environment, looking at those types of bot type of attacks to find that particular piece of information. Automating incident response. If you have a particular, setting up workflows within AI is also a way that we can do that. And it's not just detection. It is, again, response and automation and being more productive and building a risk management and cyber resilience strategy across our organization that utilizes those AI techniques, much more beyond just detection. And I just noticed that the titles of these slides are, hold on a second, hide that so that you can see the titles of the slides instead of the cyber back to school. So we have, obviously, the threat landscape keeps evolving. I've talked about this already. AI and AI is a main reason for that as well. So we want to help. We want to turn it around and make AI a more helpful to the organization. Stay ahead of the curve. Provide those insights. Provide those deep capabilities and insights within the organization. Whoops, it's in the wrong screen. Keep doing that. Make a change during there. And so, but one of the key things around all that is making sure that we're responsible around it. As I stated earlier, AI and machine learning techniques are only as good as our humans that are creating those tools and building those tools. So yes, it's powerful. It's a powerful tool we can use for risk management and security. But we need to be responsible, ethical, transparent. We got to make sure that we're not biased and we're maintaining privacy, and there's a level of accountability to it all. And we can spend a lot of time on just these potential pillars of everything, but what it really comes down to is when you're building and you're utilizing AI tools, that you are keeping in mind the various aspects uh, of how this affects different cultures, different races, different religions. All of those things all come together. Different geographical uh, requirements, and if privacy is handled a little bit differently in the United States than it's handled in Europe, much more handles data and things of that nature as well. So we got where our tools are going to be used, wearing it properly for false positives, false negatives, things like that, and building resilience and building that adaptive infrastructure in place. Going back to had in the session we did 2 weeks ago back on, around cyber resilience of things, around the use of AI tools, is where are we pulling data from, what are we using, and what are we're utilizing. So adaptive and our infrastructure as well. We'll talk next week about implementation tiers of cyber resilience is going to really be being important to that conversation. And I keep getting a message that that there's a lost connection. I'm like looking at the various. Let me look at something here. Hold on a second. Just checking. Okay, looks like things are working okay. All right. Again, adaptive security, adaptive infrastructure, building the analytics around our data, around where our data is and where our risks might be. Again, all of this is interrelated. So, like I said, we've got different topics in the cyber Foundation Fridays, but they're all interrelated. Cyber resilience helps to build risk awareness, and risk awareness helps, and our risk aware culture helps us in terms of AI security. It's a consistent story, and something that if you go back to building a risk aware culture, building a cyber resilient putting a cyber resilient framework in place, putting in place the putting in place risk management framework is all very key. NIST built an AI risk management framework, and it's not much different than the standard NIST risk management framework, except that it's specific to AI and specific to AI technologies, where the standard NIST risk management framework 800-37 is typically around building new systems, but a lot of new systems are utilizing AI in some form or another. You might be writing code with Copilot, GitHub Copilot. You might be um, you know, utilizing utilizing Copilot for Office 365, things of that nature. So all of that goes into everything else, and really aligns with all those aspects of things, and how we're building adaptive infrastructures. Some key components and systems, again, you need to have real-time monitoring, predict, if we're not monitoring what's taking place in our environment, we can't respond to something that's taking place in our environment. It's that simple. So we need to log activity. We need to monitor activity. We need to, then we can use the predictive analytics aspects of things, of machine learning, behavioral data and things like that. And again, important to have transparency, use it ethically, have accountability for how that data is being used as well. Let people know how their data is being used, is a key principle to that. And so, and then we can take that all and be very adaptive to it. Now, understand that we have privacy, security, accountability, false positives, false negatives, all might come into play as part of us building that adaptive security approach as well. So we need to have checks and balances in place, and really then can take that cybersecurity AI into our overall organizational framework. um, you know Size, how quickly and effectively can we bring those in? There's capabilities within that to continue to grow and continue to bring that in within all the cloud providers. So utilizing the cloud, obviously, it's much better um, to utilize cloud technologies than trying to build a large adaptive model on premises, because of the flexibility of resources, of flexibility of infrastructure. So setting up goals, and these goals have to align again with the business and with the stakeholders and what their requirements are. So if somebody wants to start using OpenAI, and or Office Office 365, Microsoft 365 Copilot, or GitHub Copilot for writing code and things of that nature. We need to make sure we have a roadmap. We make sure we're going through our proper security due diligence to make sure that the data that you're engineering against is not going to be data that is sensitive and be exposed to the public. And those are all things we need to think about. Oops. Um, other applications, again, applications of cybersecurity AI, again, looking at our logs, finding anomalies in logs, the ability to learn and understand, hey, this might be sensitive information, we might not want to share it, are all things that we can consider, and we can help to identify insider risks and fraud detection. Getting, and the business aspect of things, being able to use that data to gain information around what's going on in our environment is key as well. Um, Cloud-based AI, I've mentioned, very important, very helpful in terms of the approach and the technologies that you have in play as well. So what are some of the applications of machine learning in cybersecurity? So let's talk about that a little bit and talk about these concepts a little bit. So what we're looking for ultimately when we're using AI, we're using machine learning technologies, is a learning outcome. We need to understand, we need to understand what our applications are. What are the different applications within machine learning for cybersecurity? What are the benefits, and what are some of those examples? So I've mentioned this multiple times. Anomaly detection is a very key aspect to cybersecurity. We use this a lot. If you're, I reference Microsoft a lot, and I apologize for those of you that are AWS or Google people. It's just really a lot of where my core my core knowledge of cloud comes from. Uh, but there are capabilities in other cloud providers as well to find anomalies, especially around identity. And Microsoft does a very good job of this with their identity protection platform and Entra ID, where where it will understand, hey, somebody logged in on this device on this IP address, and then they logged in on another device in another IP address that's 3,000 miles away in 15 minutes, and it will understand, hey, this is impossible travel. It's going to flag it, and that's really what that's machine learning. That's AI. Or this person has logged in from this particular IP address the last 365 days, and all of a sudden they're logging in from another IP address. What is the threat to that? And it'll signal an alert. It's the major key and importance to making sure that you are um, that you are that you're logging everything that you're doing and all of your activity is a very key aspect to all of this. So this is, it's essential, behavior analysis, logging what people are doing is a benefit to how we're going to use AI and how we're going to understand what's taking place. So understanding what people are doing, what people are using software, what are we, in terms of an application approach, in terms of what applications, we use AI on a very uh, common basis, right? I mean, when was the last time you went to a website and didn't have a comment, the little chat screen pop up with, "How can I help you today?" I get it myself on on all my websites. It's built into GoDaddy. Essentially, I get a chat screen. "Hey, how can I help you today?" No, it's my website. I don't need any help. But these are applications that we are using, and we can use that for cybersecurity too, for help desk approaches and things like that. We can use it for reviewing code. And why is there a GitHub Copilot? Because we can use it to help us be more effective in writing code, help us find security holes in that code that then we can review and interact with ourselves. Those are all things we think about. The dynamic and proactive aspect of things. Again, we can't be dynamic and proactive if we aren't logging and monitoring our environments. So again, proactive defense. If we see an anomaly on a user, we can require that user to reset their password, or enforce them to log in again with multi-factor authentication. Those are applications of a proactive defense if we see somebody that's compromised, see an anomaly. Again, predictive analytics, predicting, trying to predict the future, so to speak. What is is going to be the potential use of this application, or who's going to access this application, are all things that we need to think about, and risks we want to think about. We want to gather insights that understand what is a normal environment. Again, I can't state this enough. When we are working with AI and open AI technologies, generative AI technologies, any AI technologies for that matter, we're only as good as the humans that program it. We're only as good as the information that we're training against. We're only as good as the information that we're able to log as well. So those are all things that we want to make sure we're considering through that, and making sure that we are avoiding the the exposure of sensitive data. So we want to make sure we've got sensitive data all over our environment. So, one of the key aspects of protecting that sense, of what sensitive data is, that's any asset that the organization doesn't want to get exposed to the public. They don't want to share it. Regulations might not allow us to share it, and data subjects might not want us to share that information. So we want to make sure we're protecting that information. We'll make sure we have safeguards in place where, and again, AI can help us to identify that. AWS has Macy, which is an AI tool that looks at all of your AWS S3 buckets and will tell you where you might have sensitive information, which is huge use of AI because we don't know where all our data is. There's a huge data sprawl out there from everybody that's that doesn't really think about where they're putting information when they share it on the cloud or share it with others. So we need to make sure we find where that information is. And so once we know where that information is, then we can secure it from cyber attacks. And we can use, again, AI tools potentially to help us with those, building those cyber resilient networks. We can get that data, get that sensitive data out of the public realm of our infrastructure. And that's really what we're trying to do here. Enhancing, and as we do that, as we know where our data is, we classify it properly. We put tools in place to segment. We use various anomaly detection tools. We use like cloud access security brokers for understanding where data is going in terms of cloud apps. We use sensitivity labels, data loss prevention policies to protect that data. It's going to increase our security posture. And then the dynamic approach to all of that is using machine learning models to appropriately identify where potential anomalies are and respond to them, building workflows and understanding and building on trends and threats that are out there. Again, threat intelligence within the overall ecosystem. Microsoft, AWS, Google, Oracle, IBM, all the big four consulting firms, all are involved in building threat intelligence databases that then we can pull in to our various tools for cybersecurity, cybersecurity operations, and find those threats, find those trends, understand how those trends are going to affect us, and build risk awareness around those threats, and look at those threats and detect those threats appropriately. Understand where those anomalies lie, understand where those outliers lie within our organization. We're going to talk about email threats a little bit, talk about a few threats here, but we're going to talk about them rather quickly here. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about them, obviously, in a few weeks as well. We'll kind of revisit these a little bit more. But email threat detection, machine learning is going to help us. We have a lot of threats that come through our emails. We're on email on a daily basis. We obviously are going to have potential issues that arise through emails, and phishing attacks and social engineering comes through email on a regular basis. So we want to do some level of learning of what might be malware, might be, and look at the unusual behaviors. Had a employee of my own that Entra's identity protection actually identified somebody it seemed like somebody was sending emails from the person that got flagged is in Texas, and they were getting email threats or alert. We were getting email alerts that somebody was sending emails from his email account from Virginia. And so we really didn't track down how that happened. We just tracked down that there was a malicious IP address. He changed his password, reinitialized. We had to unblock his account because the machine learning model of Entra ID actually blocked his account because there were multiple situations where this happened. It wasn't just a one isolated incident. It happened from different IP addresses. So the AI worked from that standpoint. Again, cybersecurity again becomes these techniques for the cyber criminals are learning more about using AI. So we need to learn about using more of AI is really what comes down to here. Flagging the malicious content, like I mentioned already, in terms of those algorithms and things like that. Understanding patterns, understanding behaviors, understanding what our uses are, all become ways that we are working to identify and flag potential malicious content within our environment. I've mentioned this multiple times: false positives and false negatives. A false positive, there's a flip between what you call false positives and false negatives, depending on whether you're talking about identities or you're talking about like network access. A false positive is very bad when it comes to identities because you're letting you are granting somebody access that they shouldn't have access to. False negatives is you're blocking access to somebody that needs access to something. So that's what we're talking about here in terms of false positives and false negatives and the pattern analysis. There's other false positives and false negatives in other contexts, but that's what we mean. Like a false positive is access is given to somebody that shouldn't have access. False negative is access is denied for somebody that should be given access, that has the proper permissions. So we have to review and we have to train our models appropriately and find that proper cross-section of that. Phishing detection, again, understanding what phishing threats are. Again, I'm not going to cover these in detail because we're going to talk more about these in a few weeks. Again, phishing attacks are becoming more evolved and they're grabbing and learning mitigation, how we're using mitigation techniques. They're trying to circumvent those mitigation techniques. And AI is going to help us with preserving and preventing those aspects of AI as well. And deep learning the advanced and large neural networks are going to help for that phishing detection. A lot of cyber defense is using this deep learning, using this information. I get a report on my Xfinity business account every week on how many phishing attacks were blocked by them. I'm sure that there isn't one person just watching for emails that are coming across my account. They are using deep learning and machine learning and AI technologies to provide us with that level of defense. Again, automating the detection and response, quarantining those particular emails, or removing the attachments are all things that are considered, and things like that. Various different Python libraries that are out there that help for hunting for threats and things like that. This isn't a Python class, but there are very popular machine learning libraries, and we're not going to. There's a whole lot of email security platforms that we can utilize as well. Microsoft provides a lot of that within their own Office 365 or Microsoft 365 technologies as well. We'll again talk a little bit quickly about AI algorithms and malware threat detection. Again, I'll go through these slides probably again in a few weeks in a little bit more deeper aspect. But as I stated before, malware and viruses generally have what's called a signature to them, and those signatures are very similar, and we can learn those signatures through our threat intelligence. We can then use our AI algorithms and tools to detect and protect against them. And that's really what it comes down to. And if you're not familiar with malware, everybody's probably familiar with malware at this point. But malware, provides, again, like I said, signature based, sandboxing, anomaly based, detection is going to protect us against these malicious software tools and softwares that get into our systems. And so we want to provide those algorithms and build upon our learning of threat detection through supervised, unsupervised algorithms, reinforcement learning algorithm, then the deep learning algorithm. So if when we're building and utilizing AI algorithms, we're looking at it in various ways. And supervised, we're really working to train our model. We're using sample data, and we're training it with another sample data to see how it's going. Unsupervised learning algorithms, we're trusting them to some degree to continue to learn. Maybe they were supervised. We've gotten to a point where they're unsupervised, and we're going to learn a little bit more about it, and continue on from that aspect of what what we're going to learn, how that's going, and the unsupervised, it's going to continue to learn. Behavioral analytics generally is an unsupervised learning model where we can train it from a supervised standpoint by looking at the alerts that we get and classifying those alerts as false and things like that to help to train. But for the most part, they're providing alerts on an unsupervised aspect of things again. And so what these models and everything, how these algorithms are going to do, are going to help to increase our accuracy, give us more scalability, give us some real-time and automated proactive threat detection and response is really what we're challenging everybody to do here. But a key aspect here is protecting our data. We want to make sure that we are not exposing sensitive data. We're processing our data properly and appropriately, and we're validating our models. Again, this all goes down to responsible AI and things that we're going to do for our malware detection. Again, learning analysis, extract and select, go through and rinse and repeat. Look at our models, look at what we're doing, and provide real-time monitoring and detection of anomalies, of bad actors, of those those particular automations, so that we can be more adaptable, more scalable to our defenses. It's going to improve our incident response, enhance our security posture, and if we're using it properly and we're building it properly, we might also be able to address find various malware threats and potential zero-day attacks and our vulnerabilities to those attacks to really extricate those types of attacks from, or keep those attacks from ever happening. And again, we can use that with Python. Is a very key, and there's a lot of Python open source databases that help for threat hunting. There's also a lot of malware analysis tools and things like that for the AI-based detection. And again, if we're not real-time monitoring, if we're not monitoring things as they take place, we don't know things are happening within our organization. So if we're using our tools appropriately, we should be proactively monitoring everything. We're not reactively monitoring. Again, different types of malware. So we're going to have different strategies. Malware comes in different ways. Comes through brute force attacks. It could come in, somebody gaining command and control of our resources. It could come in through through emails, through a phishing type of attack within our organization. So we need to make sure that we have our proper defenses in place. and then we're responding to incidents appropriately. Again, having a plan in place and understanding what's going on within our environment allows us to respond to those attacks, and determine where we want to make sure we are building those responses appropriately and the plans for those responses. Okay. Sorry, a little bit about network anomaly detection. Again, high level. I'll go a little bit deeper into these when we go through the threat and detection section in a few weeks. But again, network anomalies. Things are coming across our network. So when we talk about email, we're talking about things that are coming across our email. But what's coming across our network? I mentioned this already of somebody that finds a way in through a management backdoor and gains command and control of a device. That is a network-based attack as well as a device-based attack. But they're on our network. They're able to come through our network, and we want to detect those network anomalies. Why is somebody on an IP address has ever accessed from now accessing? And it uses threat intelligence as well to understand the potential malicious IP addresses and networks that are on a global basis if we are in play. So, detecting those anomalies, detecting that impossible travel and things like that. Firewalls, AI in firewalls as a service, in web application firewalls. Web application firewalls are looking at anomalies in code, in injection attacks, and things like that as well. So those are all things that we want to consider, and we want to make sure that we're addressing as part of our overall threat intelligence and our use of AI within our environment. Again, basic operations and procedures for detecting those anomalies are going to be in place. Having a risk-aware culture, building a cybersecurity, and a cyber resilient framework is going to help us build and take a practical approach to all of our AI and evaluating the effectiveness, understanding the challenges and things like that. Again, some disadvantages as well. There's limitations to the network security, where, again, very similar to email security, we might have situations where we've got false positives, false negatives, and things of that nature as well. User authentication security, talked about this a lot already. Understanding, where users are accessing information. So user authentication is we have our identity, who we are, and there are potentials of somebody gaining access to that identity. And digital identity theft is a real thing. So we want to make sure that we're addressing those, and AI can really help us in securing those aspects of things through the various anomaly detection aspects of authentication and authorization, making sure that we're not utilizing resources and making sure that we are not not giving users high level privileges is going to help us to address some of that, but also behavioral analysis and how people are accessing and understanding, what an anomaly looks like. I spend most of my time on my home network, and accessing everything from my home network. If I go to another location and access it, especially from a public IP address, there should be some level of flagging that takes place. And really, generally, because I use multi-factor authentication, it's like a low to a medium access or alert. rather than a high alert, but still looking at that anomaly approach. Users access, if you're especially with your larger organization, we have a large number of users accessing large amounts of information, and understanding and recognizing where they're accessing from and what they're accessing becomes a very big challenge. And so using using AI tools and techniques are going to allow us to sift through and search through all of those logs and find potential ways that it does not, things that are not correct. And so AI is going to help us from that to understand potential unlikely user behavior and potential aspects of malicious behavior that's taking place in our user authentication, and then helps us to manage that risk, the risk of the user, the risk of the sign in, whether that user's credentials have been compromised, or whether that user itself or that device has been fully compromised, becomes two different ways that we look at the behavior analysis. And still, again, false positives and false negatives are a thing to make sure that we have a secure user experience, but we're also not deterring them from accessing their resources. I've talked about this in terms of multi-factor authentication, and you can use those security tools, and those security tools will help to create a secure access to your environment, secure authentication, secure authorization to your resources. But if it's not deployed appropriately or in a user-friendly manner, it's going to make it hard for you to roll it out. And again, you're back to not being a benefit, but more a deterrent to technology, to access into business. So we need to make sure that we're building those technologies. Again, adaptive authentication techniques, using things like tokens or OAuth and things like that, build more adaptive techniques rather than username, password, even multi-factor authentication using biometrics. Biometrics obviously is a part of artificial intelligence, and recognizing who you are, evaluating your face, and then determining your identity based on that are all things that we can use in terms of AI-based authentication. Again, various AI platforms, and again, new developments being made on a constant basis. AI is continually evolving from a standpoint of where AI comes from and what is going to take place in terms of what's going to happen as we go through. More threats, AI-based threats are going to come about. More AI technologies that we can use to protect are going to happen as well. Penetration testing with artificial intelligence. Again, when we talk about techniques to protect, how do we detect our anomalies? How do we detect our potential vulnerabilities, especially across our organization to new and emerging threat patterns? How do we address? Penetration testing is not going to address zero-day threats, but it's going to address potential new threats to our environment that maybe we didn't see at first look. And so doing that, penetration testing, integrating into security information and event management systems, SIM systems, real-time threat detection, dynamic threat analysis are all things that go into that. Using adaptive security approaches, AI assisted incident response we talked about, really when we're talking about like operations and things like that, automated policies, AI assisted threat detection. Again, we'll talk about this more in a few weeks. Adaptation to various evolving threats. Again, penetration testing and things like that are going to help us with those things for real-time monitoring. The AI assisted threat response, how are we enforcing policies through automated nature? Those are all things that we need to continue to consider. And again, AI driven penetration testing gives us some automated tools. If you're using some of the cloud based tools in terms of vulnerability assessments, those are looking at potential threats. They're learning through machine learning models of what threats are out there, what threats there are to, and vulnerabilities there are to cloud platforms, and they can give you then vulnerability assessments. Doing those on a regular basis, as well as penetration testing, are going to give you some level of continuous validation on your security controls. And if you're not looking at your security and you're not looking at your network, you're looking at the anomalies in your identities and things like that, you're not putting forth a true defense in depth or zero trust type of methodology to be a cyber resilient organization. So using all those tools and those techniques are going to help. Again, simulating various cyber attacks, doing attack simulations are going to be very helpful to identify vulnerabilities. And again, there are AI tools out there. There's tools within Microsoft Defender XDR to test those things. There are, again, vulnerability assessment tools within the various cloud platforms, and simulations that you can do in various types of attacks. And then you can look at those attacks and then analyze and evaluate and use AI tools again to automate the analysis. So again, makes you more scalable, makes you more efficient overall to continuously evaluate your vulnerabilities and harden your devices, harden your identities, hardening your network from a continuous security validation standpoint. Various different tools, again, AI-based vulnerability scanners and penetration testing tools, different open source tools. I always put a disclaimer in here around open source. If you're using open source tools, recognize and make sure they're coming from a reputable source. I do see a lot of AI, a lot of tools for penetration testing, vulnerability scanning, come across social media on a regular basis. Make sure you know where it's coming from, though, and make sure you know who's if somebody's using it. If you go and find, if it's a GitHub repository, go to that GitHub repository. Look at the releases and comments and who's been using it, the issue logs, and all those things to understand how it's being used, who's using it. And maybe even reach out to some of those people to see how reputable and how helpful it was. Again, open source versus commercial. I already gave you my my little public service announcement on that. Again, future trends. As we wrap up things here today, again, we've been going hour 15 minutes, hour 15, hour 20 minutes on this. So on these these little presentations. So I'm going to wrap things up here. Again, as I've said multiple times, AI is constantly growing, and it's going to continue to grow and continue role within cybersecurity. It already has been. You can't use the security tools within the cloud providers without having some sort of machine learning or AI that's built in the back end of it. Them not doing that, if they aren't doing that, then you might want to do an evaluation of your cloud providers. Where it's going to go, and it's where it's going to help us more so, is automating more tasks and improving the accuracy of our security measures, the accuracy of our security posture as an organization. Now, what I usually get in a live, more interactive class around AI is, isn't AI going to take my job away from me? And I'll use I use here an example. I'm in Michigan in the United States. Those of you that know Michigan, Michigan is known for cars, known for for auto manufacturing, right? Chevrolet, Chrysler, um, Ford, all had been headquartered here. GM, General Motors, and Ford still headquartered here. There's a United States headquarters of forgot what Chrysler's name is right now. It's not crossing my mind, but the key aspect to that, and one of the things that's kind of a push and pull right now in the United States is gas powered versus electric, right? And and the people that are against electric cars say it's going to take the jobs away and eliminate jobs from factory workers. And I use the same comparison in terms of AI. AI tools are there. The AI tools have been there. They've been used. They've been continuously evolving for years. Same thing with electric cars, right? The people whose jobs are going to be replaced are the people that don't learn about those new technologies, because electric cars are going to continue to grow. AI is going to continue to grow. So if you're not going to get on the bus or the train or whatever, or the truck or whatever it is, to learn it and to be a change enabler around these tools, yeah, it's going to replace you, but it's not going to replace your job. Somebody's going to replace you that learned these tools and knows these tools. And that's really what it comes down to. And that's why I provide these trainings to you, and why these trainings are very important, because it helps give you a level of understanding around where things are going, what tasks, how AI can be used to make you more effective and efficient in your job, and therefore allow us to evolve as humans to do those more complex things that AI can't do. Now, AI, not saying that AI is not going to learn more complex aspects and tools and ways to detect and respond to threats within our organization. But if we keep one step ahead in what we're learning, and we continue to find ways to make that better, and make AI better, and stay ahead of the people that are learning to use AI for attacks, we are a much better society in detecting and responding to threats and understanding vulnerabilities, understanding risk to our organization. And that's really what it comes down to. So that ends things really quickly. Like I said, we're going to go through the detection and threat detection stuff in a few weeks. So we went through that rather quickly. So make sure you're following the Captain Hyperscaler LinkedIn site, as well as you can follow Captain Hyperscaler's YouTube channel. Cybersecurity, Cyber Back to School has its own YouTube channel as well. This particular recording will be up there as well here today. But you can subscribe to all three of those and know the new events that are coming up, with our next event being Cyber Resilient Implementation Tiers, which we'll talk about next week. So look forward to that with everybody. Feel free to check into to the Accolade live training that I'm providing as well, to prepare you for some certifications around risk management, AI security, and cyber resilience. Here is a QR code for those trainings if you want to register for those classes. Like I said, we're offering a special $200 per seat cost with the voucher for the beta exams this month only for October, for the 3 foundational courses that I'm offering here this month. I'll also offer a $50 off the $300 if you want to attend one of the practitioner courses, but you have to register this month, with the risk management actually being Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week.
So hopefully you can, register to attend. If you have a group of people, I can even give some additional discounts. If we have, if we have over 10 people that are attending, I can even give a little bit more to you. So reach out to my email or catch up on LinkedIn. I have gone away from using X for now, for the foreseeable future, at least until the U.S. election is over. I'm too tired of political ads and things coming across my feed. So don't message me on Twitter or X. Message me on LinkedIn. That's going to be much more quick in response. So thanks everybody for your time today. Like I said, scan this QR code and it'll take you right to the, I think it takes you to the payment to register for any of these 3 trainings. Like I said, they're 1 to 5 or 1 to 4 UTC in the afternoon, or 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. US Eastern time. So 3 days, 3 sessions, 3 hours. Pretty easy to bring that in 333. Hope to see some of you there. Like I said, risk management's next week. Risk Management Foundations, very great course, great objectives that Accolade has created, and I created a course out of that to prep you for that beta exam. So beta exam actually is coming to a close actually the middle of October. So you can prepare for this exam next week and hopefully take it the following week and get into the beta process there. All right. So thanks everybody for your time today. Look forward to seeing you in next week's session, and have a great rest of your day.